Thank you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a project where we have been working on related to energy conservation and climate literacy. So I am a climate scientist at San Jose State University, but as a result of looking at some of the charts that we've seen today and some of the science we understand, I became concerned about education around climate change, and together with some artists and filmmakers created the Green Ninja, who is a climate action superhero who takes action on climate change and tries to inspire students to get interested in this subject. So our mission is to educate young people about our changing climate and then give them the tools and inspiration. And actually inspiration is a key piece to this, and there was some discussion of this earlier about the role that emotion plays in getting people active and engaged. But also want them to give them the tools to do something about it and to take some action. So our target audience are middle school students, and our method is to use story and looking at the story structure of the Green Ninja, but also personal engagement. So the personal engagement piece is what we're trying to evaluate in the discussion today. Of course, many of us have heard of STEM education, or even STEAM, with the art, A being the arts. And again, that's a bit of behind our philosophy of integrating the arts and integrating, in our case, it's humor and fun into our videos to really serve as an engagement piece for young people. And not just young people, and in a way that Disney so well does, showing a movie that young kids like and also adults find interesting. That is a centerpiece to our goal. So right now we've created something called the Green Ninja Show, which is a little bit like Bill Nye the Science Guy. These are short videos. Some of them are live action or animation, music videos, puppetry. You never know what you're going to get in the Green Ninja Show. We're in season 2 right now, and every week we have a new episode. This has been popular with the teachers that we've been working with as engagement pieces. So of course you're going to do something about climate change or energy, but showing a Green Ninja video as an engagement piece at the beginning of the sequence, students enjoy that. It's kind of funny. We also integrate little Easter eggs in there, little science nuggets that may not be seen the first time, but that you can develop a lesson plan around. Our videos are also moderately popular on YouTube. We have 1.2 million views, 1,000 to 2,000 views a day. So people are watching Green Ninja videos, not just in the classroom. So in a sense, we're also working with students to help them tell their own stories. So we have something called the Green Ninja Film Festival, where students are encouraged and given some instruction about scientific storytelling and telling their own stories. And one of the most inspiring pieces of this is that often we find that students who don't normally associate with science, don't think they're interested in science, for the first time see themselves as protagonists in their own films, as scientists or engineers inventing solutions to climate change, which I think is a fairly powerful vehicle of storytelling. Today I'm going to talk about something called the Smart Energy Contest, which is centered around this engagement of taking action. And so if we can inspire students through our videos, if we can develop some good curriculum, can we get them to actually take action in meaningful ways that affect energy use and also affect behavior? And that's what we tried to look at. So this is probably the second year we've run the Green Ninja Smart Energy Contest. And the way it works is that students, well, I'm going to show you how it works, but students monitor their own energy use at home and then watch some Green Ninja videos and see then if they can actually change that. So the experimental design, or the hypothesis, is that a hands-on activity designed around home energy use can actually change energy use at home, but also affect attitudes and behavior. We did this both in the middle school and in the university, and we looked at pre and post survey results for our students, and also we were able to track their energy use at home, so we could actually measure if this affected their energy consumption. So we invited teachers, K-12 teachers, middle school and high school teachers, to come to a workshop. We talked to them about climate change and energy, and also how to use our online portal, which is called the Energy Data Tracker. And then we pitched this around the next generation science standards, engineering design, performance expectation. So, for example, imagine yourself a 6th grade teacher, and the new middle school standards say, oh, you have to teach engineering design starting in a couple years. Most teachers are very underprepared for teaching engineering design. They might think you have to build a bridge or some type of robot. But you could also think of an energy conservation experience as an engineering design problem. I use too much energy at home. I'd like to reduce it. That's an engineering design problem. What kind of solution could I design? Then could I test it and revise it? And so that's how we framed this, was as an engineering design challenge for students. And the way it worked is that there was a 2-week baseline period where students looked at their past energy use in their own home using their own smart meter data. And then there's a conservation period where they design a plan, they implement that plan, and then they test and see how well it does. So the first step is that they analyze their past data. And throughout the United States, at least in California, 99% of homes in California have a smart meter. And that means you can go on, well, you can go outside and look at your data, but you can also go onto your online through your utility and see your daily energy use. So students learn how to do that. And then here's a screenshot for one particular class. So you enter your data, and then you can see charts like this, which show the energy use for you, and then also for your other classmates in an anonymous fashion. But you can compare your energy data with other students in the class. You can look at the weekends versus during the week. And so we ask students to look at their past energy use and try to understand it for their own particular situation. For example, we had a student who was saying, gosh, the weekends are so much higher, and I really couldn't figure out why until he started to reflect that his brothers from college were coming home on the weekends and watching the big screen TV or on the computer a lot. So it provides us with some insight into, our own daily energy use. Step 2 is for students to develop a plan. And so how can I implement an energy conservation plan? That same student said, I'm not going to let my brother come home every weekend because that raises our energy use. I mean, that might be a plan, it may not be implementable. But so we ask students to develop a plan, to use prior data to inform that plan, and then to set a goal. Just like any engineer would do in terms of design, what would be my goal? A 10% reduction, a 20% reduction. Typically, students set very ambitious goals, and then they can determine whether that works or not. And we coach them, they watch some of the Green Ninja videos to see what kind of different things could they do. So for example, reducing plug load, lighting are of course obvious ones, but there could also be there are a lot of opportunities in the behavior area. For example, one student found that there were 4 TVs on in the house at the same time, and people watching them in different rooms. If you could encourage them to watch the same show, then maybe they could all watch them in the same room, and then you reduce energy. And so that's a behavior change strategy. Or cooking all at the same time. So we encourage students to kind of explore both of those and to try some of those. Not saying those are easy, but those are interesting. So here's some results from that same class. On the left is the baseline period. And then after they developed their plan and started implementing it, the right side is the conservation period. And we encourage teachers, and teachers have their own portal and they can look at the data, but this is the classroom average. So in fact, we encourage teachers to use the classroom average as a way to kind of inspire their class to say, hey, can we lower this? And you can even then, at the end of the period, you can say, let's go for another week, let's see if we can reduce it even further. I'll buy everyone a pizza if we can get there, another 5%. And as part of the contest, there are some prizes like pizza parties for the class. So let's see how we did. So we had 500 students participate in grades in middle school, and also we did it in university. As a college professor, we can make our students do anything, and I have a lot of friends on campus. So we did this in a lot of university classes as well. And so we did this pilot just this last semester. So here's the energy use data. On the left is the baseline period, and on the right is the conservation. So you can see that on average, students, this is just for electricity, we do natural gas as well, but students used about 11 kilowatt hours per person per day in their home. And we saw about an 11% reduction. Now some people might not think 11% is a lot, but I'll just tell you 11% is huge. There's a company called O-Power, which has an energy conservation behavior program in California, or actually nationally. They get about a 1.5% energy reduction. They get millions of dollars of our money that come through utilities. So 11% reduction is large. Now, we don't know if that's going to persist. And we're doing some longitudinal studies with our college students, but that's a fairly large change. Now, we also asked them some questions. I'm just going to share a couple of them. But one of the questions was, if I came across information about energy and climate change, I tend to look at it. And here's the pre-results. So in fact, many of these students were also already interested in this kind of thing. And in the post, we see some statistically significant increases in the interest in that. And we think that's because students were actually participating and engaging in doing things in their home, and found at least some of this somewhat interesting. The other question was, I'm aware of actions that I can take to reduce global warming, and many students were already had some understanding of that, but that did also increase at a statistically significant level. So to summarize, we think that significant energy savings is possible. As I mentioned, persistence, and if we were going to get funding through the Public Utility Commission here in California, we have to demonstrate that this is persistent over at least a one-year period. Turns out that that's a challenging thing to do, and that behavior change programs it's challenging to get them funded. But we are, in terms of from an education standpoint, we find that interest in climate and energy topics did seem to be enhanced by having students participate in this kind of experience, which was our primary goal. Because if you can get a middle school student to become interested in energy and climate topics, especially energy conservation, it is very likely they'll continue with that kind of interest for many years in their future. We also found that this project was best integrated into the curriculum, so that teachers who just tried to squish it into an already packed curriculum, their results in their classes weren't nearly as impressive as other classes. So this is one of the challenges that we face. And also teacher recruitment, which kind of dovetails into that. And getting teachers to come to the workshop was easy. Getting them to implement this in their classroom was more challenging. Getting them to do the pre and post surveys was lots and lots of email reminders. And we're kind of strategizing about what to do about that. So kind of thinking in terms of the future, we want to revise our design based on student and teacher feedback, especially teachers who are saying, we love doing this, we need to really integrate this into our curriculum. And we think that the new upcoming next generation science standards are a great location for that. Our plan is to develop an 8-week learning sequence designed around the NGSS engineering design and climate change performance expectations, also aligned with some of the informational text that's associated with Common Core. And that also includes the energy contest kind of running through that. And we're looking for partners to try this in other venues. So we've done this in the Bay Area. If there's others here who think that this kind of experience would be interesting in your community, we'd love to chat with you about that. Thank you.
Any questions?
Sure. I'll repeat your question, so.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Living in an urban environment in New York City, access to the data for our home project, is that even possible?
So the question is does access in an urban environment like New York City?
Yeah, in terms of living in apartments.
Yeah, so this is,
And also just
go ahead.
if you're living in apartments, is there as much incentive to reduce the energy? It's going to benefit the landlords, not necessarily themselves.
So yeah, good questions. So the first question is about whether you can get access to the data in urban environments. So 99% of California has smart meters. They may, if you live in an apartment building, they're located down somewhere else, but you have access through your utility. So this is what's called the smart grid, and I don't know what the situation's like in New York City, but I would imagine that there's a very high rate of homes and apartments who also are on the smart grid. Incentive, well, I think all of us pay a utility bill, so that 10% or 11% reduction in energy would also mean a 10 or 11% reduction in your utility bill. And if you're living on a campus dorm, then you don't pay your utilities, but even most apartment buildings, most urban places, individuals pay their own utilities. So I think there still is a strong incentive for that. Thank you.